Welcome back to the Mom Files. I'm Aleea.
And I'm Hav.
Before we jump into this week's topic, we wanted to start with our exciting news that we mildly threw in at the end of the last episode.
I'm pregnant.
Woo! Yay! Yes, you heard it here first. We are very excited about the news. It will be shaping season 2 to kind of be related all about everything pregnancy. And so if you have any questions or chats that you do want us to cover, send them our way as we are going to start planning for season 2. So
It's the
yay.
perfect time as I'm going through it, so it'll all be really fresh.
Yes. Yay. So with that exciting news, let's get into today's topic. So today we are going to be talking about something that I think everyone seems to have an opinion on, and that's screen time. So we all use it. And honestly, I feel like we all feel guilty about it in some capacity. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the screen time shame, how to ditch it, and just maybe how to find realistic balance without the mom guilt. Because honestly, screens aren't the enemy, which we'll get into, but they aren't the enemy. And so, yeah, I don't think you should always feel guilty just because your kid's watching TV. So, with that, let's dive in. Hav, do you want to start us off? I know because this is something that you probably deal with a little more just because Azzy's a little older.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll just start off by saying that I know the guilt behind it. I felt the guilt and the shame behind it, but I've also, and I still do, as you know, as I'm adjusting and figuring out what screen time ideally looks like for us. But I've also found, like Aleea said, it's not the enemy, and there are ways to use it that are beneficial. There's also ways to use it that might not be beneficial, but they work perfectly for our family. I know yesterday we had a movie day and we watched TV all day, and it was a special occasion, but it let mom relax and it let dad relax, and Azzy had so much fun doing it. So I think, like everything, just needs to be adjusted to what works for your family. If you're TV parents, I think it's only natural that your kid is going to watch a little TV, right? It's just like sugar and foods. If you're eating it, if you're watching it, if you're doing it, your kid is also going to want to do it. So in my perspective, it's only fair to get rid of screen time if you're going to get rid of screen time, but we can dive further into that. I'll kind of kick off into why I have felt some shame about it from social media and seeing parents that I don't know any parents that don't do screen time at all, but I know I see that on social media all the time of
Yeah.
the activities, the morning buckets, swapping toys, or like whatever it is, so that my kid doesn't have screen time ever, or my kid's never seen a tablet, my kid's never watched TV. And then that automatically makes me think, like, what am I doing wrong? Because Azzy is 3, right? And that definitely is young for somebody to be watching TV, but her having some screen time is what works for my family. She doesn't have her tablet. She has a tablet. She's not allowed to use it. That does not work for my family. But there's a lot. I mean, there's even shame about not giving her a tablet. I've seen it both ways. I felt it both ways. Now, Aaliyah, I know with Dash, because he's younger, and this is something that was really hard for me when Azzy was Dash's age, was even being like, even giving her 30 minutes of TV time was like such a scary thing for me. I did it, but I don't know. I'm curious how you feel since Dash is in that like really early stage.
Yeah, I have, especially because I'm definitely more like a TV parent. I mean, I do stuff too, but I'm like, I don't like, I definitely fall into that category sometimes, mostly because I just like having something on in the background, not
Mm.
per se I like watching it. I like
Well, and that's how
hearing
you've
it.
always been.
Right. So it's like that's just so it's natural. So even when he was really little, even if he wasn't watching it, but it was just on, it made me
Mhm.
feel guilty because I'm like, "Oh, I'm instantly already ruining him." Like, "Oh,
Right.
he's already messed up because he's watched 5 minutes of something." I have tried to obviously limit it and keep it to things that I just think
Mhm.
maybe aren't gonna be, like, as harmful in
Yeah.
quotes. But yeah, it's so hard because to me, it's like it's that perfect mom culture. And you made two good points when you were talking that it reminded me of it. It's one, when you were talking about social media, I think social media definitely played a role in my guilt because it's like you said, I go on and there's moms like, look at all these things that I'm doing, which one makes you feel guilty because you're like, should I be doing that? And then two, it's also it's you go into the comments and people are shaming people. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you see the moms, it's like what we talked about last episode with the comparisons. Moms are on there like, "Oh, I can't believe you do that." Or
Yeah.
and so you instantly are like, "Oh, but I do that." And so then you're like, they're attacking them, but now they're attacking me. And I think it's just life doesn't work that way. It's like what you
Mm-hmm.
said. We have this idea that, oh, there are certain people, and I'm sure there are people that don't do any screen time and blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, life just doesn't work that way. It's like, even with how hard we try, sometimes you do just need a little TV or, something like
Yeah.
even, yeah. So it is hard.
Well, and I would say too, for us and for other like work from home parents and moms, I think it adds a different aspect to it as well. I know j- I'm like jokingly we would say, oh, like the TV is going to be her babysitter for 30 minutes because I have to work for 30 minutes. And it's just something that I know in my house, if she is having a hard time with me working and stuff like that, I can throw on PBS or whatever the case is, and she's happy and she's content, and I'm able to get some peace in work and we're not butting heads. It's important for me, but there's definitely, I know for me, like you mentioned, especially when she was younger, trying to be specific about the shows that I put on for her. There's shows that she's not allowed to watch. There are
Right.
shows that I let her watch and I've regretted it. And now she knows that she's not allowed to watch them, whether it's affected her behavior or there's been scenes in it that are just, causing her to think about things that she shouldn't be thinking about, like being scared of the dark and stuff. I think there are things that can be introduced through TV. But I think that's something that what works for Azzy in my house is not necessarily what's going to work for Dash in your house. I know she has friends that the TV can be on in the background and they'll run around and they'll ignore it. She won't.
Right.
So if we want her to be focusing on something else, the TV has to be off. But we can play music in the background. And we used to do that a lot especially when she was younger, music videos and stuff.
We do a lot of videos.
Yeah, music videos are good, but not to get too far into like a tangent or a rant, but I definitely think there are shows that do not work well for her. I know like the stereotypical conversation, right? It's like Coco Melon. It's not allowed in our house because of how she acts after watching it. It's just she's like too hyper
Mhm.
after watching it. Have you noticed any of that with Dash yet?
Not yet, and I was gonna say, I think too, our TV time could change as he gets
Mhm.
big, because it's like he's actually just getting to the age where he's actually watching and
Mhm.
looking. Before, it was even when it was on, he wouldn't really watch.
Right.
But as he's starting to there's things I'm, like, noticing, like, "Oh, you're watching now," that I'm like,
Mhm.
I think it'll evolve, like, I might go to just music and things like that. This weekend, we found I haven't found the TV yet, but we found a VHS DVD player, that I hooked up to our kitchen TV, and we found some old movies, and so I think that'll be a good way too, where I think we might start doing that, where he could watch, like, an old movie, like how we did it, but maybe not like a regular streaming service.
Yeah.
But something that you mentioned as you were talking that it reminded me of is I think you made an excellent point because there's definitely stuff he can't watch, and then there's things that are limited. To me, it reminds me of food. We're trying to teach our kids, like, we obviously want them to be healthy and stuff, but I think there are still foods, there's, like, enjoyment foods that
Mhm.
maybe they don't have a nutritional value, but you're still getting something out of it when eating, and to me, sometimes that's with TV too. It's like
Mhm.
sometimes there are just shows or things like screen time that are just there for enjoyment, or
Yeah.
maybe they're there for another purpose like learning, etcetera. So it's like I agree. I'm like, there's things that are limited, and maybe the limited stuff is like the more enjoyment TV. I think that is a good point because I'm like, there's just such an array that I don't think one's good or better. It's just maybe there's some that maybe is not as great and you just don't do it
Mhm.
as much.
I think that's a really good like comparison because yeah, I know for us we're trying to teach Azzy to listen body intuition, right?
Right.
With eating. If you're hungry, If you ask for sweets, are you hungry, or do you just want a little sweet treat, you know? And I think that's a great point. With TV, it can be the same way. And that's actually something that we do in our house is if we know it's going to be like a big screen day, whether work, whether she's sick, whether whatever the reason is, we try to do like a majority of like educational shows like PBS or stuff where it's really low stimulant. And then maybe in the afternoon for some of her TV, then we switch over to like her thing right now is like My Little Pony, right? So like, is she learning anything from that? Hopefully she's learning how to be a good friend, but other than that, like, no. But when she was Dash's age, everything that we put on, at least we tried, like Miss Rachel, Miss Moni, like all the little educational shows. I was just telling you, Cloud Babies. That one's kind of educational. It's more just calm and something that I could have on the TV in the background without feeling like I was losing my mind. But I think it changes as they grow older, and like you said, like Dash's TV time might start looking different. I know Azzy's is. We were doing all educational, and then we went to Disney movies. We can't do long streaming. Like, it has to be one episode at a time. I think the VHS idea is a really good idea because it just stops. Like,
Yeah.
and I found that's the hardest time for us with TV time right now is the excitement of having it on and
Mhm.
then turning it off. So there are things, and we can talk more about that as well as like tips and stuff. But there are things that we do so that she knows like you get this many episodes, or you get one movie, or you get this amount of time, stuff like that.
No, 100%, and that yeah, I agree, because I try and do educational too,
Hmm.
or at least the low stimulant shows, like Little
Hmm.
Bear, things like that are
Yeah.
just lower.
Do not or whatever.
Things like
Yeah.
that, but I think you make all of that's a great point on that screens it's like we talked about earlier, screens aren't the enemy. Like, we can use them to kinda help support the development if necessary, and
Hmm.
then there's times when maybe we don't, but the reality is it's like digital tools and, like,
Hmm.
skills, that's just modern life. Like, we can avoid them as much as we can, but I'm like, our kids have to know them a little bit because
Yeah.
it's not even just TVs, like phones and computers. I'm like, they have to have some if they wanna be able to survive
Right.
any honestly, in a lot of things because I even think about that shopping now. It's like a lot of
Yeah.
things are like, "Go on the app." And I'm like, "God, I feel so bad for, like, the 80, 90-year-olds that are like, I just wanna know the price."
Right. Like, let me just give me a coupon book and send me in the store.
Because
Absolutely.
even for me, it can be a lot. Yeah, to just take it all in. So, yeah, I think it is important that there are cons to screens, but I do think there are some pluses. Plus, we've always talked about even if you do use it to get some rest, I think that's also valid because that's still it falls in that enjoyment category. It's like
Right.
you're allowed to have rest and not feel guilty about it, however that might
Absolutely.
take
And
place.
I agree 100%. And I think there's a lot of discourse on like whether TV actually, I've seen a lot of like, oh, kids cannot learn from TV. It's too fast paced or whatever the case. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. From what I've seen with Azzy,
Mhm.
now it depends on what shows you're putting in stuff, but she learns so much from
Yeah.
the show. Even like the enjoyment shows, like there's a Netflix show called Creature Cases.
Hmm.
It's an enjoyment show, but she's learning about different animals and, like, the way that they
Yeah.
do it. So she came up to me and was telling me fun facts about snow leopards. I didn't know that. I didn't know half that stuff. She was watching, Weather Hunters on PBS. She knows how lightning happens, and she knows what I almost said chloroform, not chloroform. What's the changes the leaves colors? See, I don't even know, but she knows why the leaves colors
Mhm.
change. Like, all these random facts about why fog is fog and stuff like that that, like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And even it just being mentioned in these shows, it has caused her to be curious and ask questions about seasons and stuff like that. So I think there is also a point where you can use television and then when the TV is off, expand on that, right? So then we went outside and we went and found different colored leaves and talked about
Yeah.
why some leaves are changing and some aren't and stuff like that. So I definitely think like
Mhm.
getting yourself stuck in a mindset of like TV is bad or TV is amazing, that's where like the guilt and stuff can really come in because just like everything like we're saying, there can be a middle ground to it.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like the idea of you seeing it as like a tool. Like, it's just something that you can utilize when you need to, and then
Mhm,
it's just like anything, sometimes we utilize bouncers or
mhm.
other tools in
Yeah,
our childhood's journey. It's a tool that you use. And honestly, to me, it's like sometimes it is the difference between that calm and chaos, period. And so, yeah, I think but like Hoff said, I think finding ways to maybe find educational ones and then also ways to expand is just another way to heighten and make it really like a tool. It's like you used it as a
mhm.
learning tool and then you're able to expand on it and teach more. And I do think it is a learning tool. I mean, I even remember things I learned from Magic Tree House or Magic Tree House.
Mm,
That's a book.
love
Magic
that.
Schoolhouse or Magic School Bus. Oh my
Magic
god.
School Bus.
Like there's still things I learned through that show and I still remember today, and that was the only
Yeah.
place that I learned that information. So, and I'm almost 30. So, I don't think it's bad. But with
Well,
that oh,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say just really quick, think about us as kids, like 90s, 2000 babies. TV was really prominent. I don't know about you, but my siblings were watching TV all the time, and nothing was educational
Yeah.
at all, and we turned out okay. So,
Yeah, I agree, and obviously we know that it's just, we get it, it was a different time, blah, 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 but still, I agree. I think you can look at an entire generation and be like, "Okay, you're not entirely messed up." Like, it's
mhm.
a little screen time's probably okay.
Imagine what this baby's gonna have. Like, it's gonna be so different. I'm not gonna be able to control the screen 24/7 because they're gonna have an older sibling who wants to watch Frozen, whereas when she was this baby's age, she was only allowed to watch music videos, like, stuff like that.
I agree, it is really difficult when you add and I think this is a good point. We are all in different spots in our lives, we have different reasons why we might be doing things, we have different amount of kids, so it's like sometimes you just like we said, you know your family best and you know what's working best for your family. So,
Mhm,
kind of with that, let's kind of lead into ways that we can find that either, the healthy screen balance or just things that can maybe help if you are having a difficult time with this
mhm.
guilt. Like maybe you aren't being gentle with yourself. So, I don't know, do you want to start with any tips?
Yeah. Well, I just start with these tips. Just remember you might have to adjust as they grow because what worked for Azzy when she was 1 is not the same thing that works for her now. But I would say for us, 1, we did try to focus on the quality of what we give, but I know for me, one thing, especially because she gets screen time every day. She really does, and especially with me working from home, if I'm feeling overwhelmed with how much TV time she's getting or I am feeling like it's affecting her and things like that, I try my best to set a specific time that she's gonna have TV. So if I know that I'm gonna have meetings or I'm gonna have heads down work time that I really just need to allow her to watch TV, I will hold off on giving her TV time until the meeting comes up and she knows, well, "Hey, I have a meeting today, so let's go ahead and go outside or let's go do other things." And then when mom's in the meeting, you can have your hour or whatever amount of TV time you feel comfortable with. So setting boundaries and being
Yeah.
clear about boundaries for both you and because sometimes we'll get an hour in and I'm like, "Oh, I could use another 30 minutes," but like I told her an hour, so we're gonna stop. So yeah, I think clear boundaries, we set timers on the TV, so it's not necessarily mommy taking away the TV. This is the agreed time. The TV needs a break. Things like that. Those are a couple of things that we do that work really well for us. And then, of course, if she's like, "I want TV," and it's a big thing, and that's actually usually when I'm like, "No, we're not giving you TV because you're too invested." I like to make sure that we either go out I give her something else to do, right? Like, either I play with her, or we go outside, or we go to the park, or there's other things that we do to stimulate her because if she's she's usually pretty bored, and needs some mental stimulation.
Yeah, I love the idea of the TV shutting off on its own and the putting it in a time period when you need it, but then, adding it with something else like going outside and then, taking a meeting. I love that idea. Something else that I have done a little bit, but I haven't done a ton a ton and I want to actually get more into as it gets winter since we'll be inside more. We've already talked about this. I don't really do the rotational toys because that's hard, but I do think finding like quick no screen alternatives is great. So I know a lot of people, like Hav mentioned, kind of like that board basket or morning basket or whatever. People do that. I think I might do something like that. But I also like just keeping maybe certain toys that he really likes on hand, but maybe not something that he can always reach, that we can utilize. Things like that, I think is really helpful. And then I agree with Hav on the focus on the quality over quantity, because the thing is it's like what Hobbs said. Sometimes we like the idea of thinking it's not every day and stuff, but sometimes it is. Also, something else I was actually just thinking of, that I read somewhere else, was doing like screen stations, which I think could be really
Mm,
helpful. And this is something we're gonna probably start doing with the new VHS setup, is
mm,
having them in certain spaces. So like maybe not in the room, but maybe, when I'm cooking or something, that's when he can watch TV, or
mhm.
like we've talked about, maybe when I'm working and he does it then. But keeping it contained and kind of intentional into certain spaces versus like all the time. So I think that might be something we incorporate more. But like I said, it's so hard because we're still so young. We haven't gotten super, super into.
Yeah. No, I think but for me, that's something that I actually, as you're talking, I realize I've done unintentionally.
Mhm.
She's asked because she has friends who have, yes, she has 3-year-old friends who have TVs in their room. And she's been like, Mommy, I need a TV in my room because then I can just, no. She is only allowed to watch TV in the living room. Occasionally, she can watch TV in our room if we got windows put in. You're obviously not sitting in them. But anyways, point being, and I do think that really helps, especially because for her, all of her toys are in the living room too. So I feel like it cultivates this, like, I can play while I'm watching TV and I don't just automatically go zombie mode. And sometimes she doesn't move and she just sits there and watches TV. But if she wants to play with her Barbies or her babies or whatever, she has access to them there versus if she's in my room or say she had a TV in her room, she's not playing with anything while she's, so I think that is something that I actually really like that
Yeah.
we unintentionally have done for her because she knows where it is. And then I can also do things like, okay, the living room's messy. We're gonna clean up. We don't get TV time until we clean. Stuff like that. Now that she's getting older.
I agree. And I love that you unintentionally do that, because I think it is a good way to kind of, it's not making it a super rigid thing, but it's like you still have it. It's just, yeah, it's creating balance, honestly, and it's creating
Mhm.
boundaries without realizing that you're creating boundaries. I think something else to just remind yourself in, if you are someone who's struggling to be gentle and you're just needing support, is just because your kid watches maybe a little bit Miss Rachel or some Bluey doesn't mean you're not parenting. Like, you are still
Mhm.
a good parent, and that, like we've said, it's just a tool that you are using, and maybe it's just a way that you got a breather to be a better parent. So
Mhm.
just take that into account, that yeah, just be gentle with yourself. Like, you taking that
Yeah.
break does help you be a better parent.
Well, and just like with TV, I think it can be quality over quantity, right? So I know that's something that I face a lot with giving her TV time is that I feel like I'm not giving her attention, a bad parent, but I can sit with her and like spend time with her if we're having a hard day and I just don't have energy to run around play sometimes. Like yesterday, I said we had a whole TV day and I'll just lay on the couch with her and we'll spend quality time, stuff like that. Or I'll give her that TV time, like we said, so that I can get stuff done. And then I can spend more quality time with her in an hour when I have the energy or the capacity to do
Yes.
so.
Yeah, it's like it's giving you that buffer. Yeah. I think it's a time to replace guilt with grace.
Okay, with our 2 little additions because
Yeah.
TV time is not working right now. Just to continue the topic of being gentle with yourself, here's a great example. Things don't always go according to plan, and so just keep in mind, 1, you're not a bad parent, like we said, for doing TV time. Maybe that allows you to have more quality time with your little one. You also try to stay away from we suggest you try to stay away from the mindset of I shouldn't be doing this and instead thinking, okay, giving me this break helps me be a better parent. With this hour of TV time or this 30 minutes of TV time, I can then get a little bit of cleaning done. I can feel more sane and I can go give more quality time. There's no rules to what we're doing as parenting. And I think, again, as always, as we talk about, we need to do what's best for our family. And remember that not everybody's home life or family life is the same, and people kind of just need to mind their own business. They don't know what's going on in your life. We don't know what's going on in their life. And maybe they have the capacity to not do screen time, and that's amazing. I have siblings whose kids only get 30 minutes of screen time every other day. They have more time on their hands than maybe I do for certain things. So it's just a reminder. Everybody's life is different. So be gentle with yourself. Hey,
Mhm.
can you say be gentle with yourself? You're a good parent. Say be gentle. You being shy. Okay, that's okay. But yeah, just remember, breaks are okay if it's helping you parent the best way that you can and it's helping your family be happy and healthy. That is what matters.
Yes, I agree. And I couldn't agree more with the people need to mind their own because it's like you hear it all the time when people see it when you're out to eat and they're like, I can't believe they let their kid be on the phone or whatever. Maybe that's the
Mhm.
only screen time they offered all day. I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't know what they're going through. And, it's just a reminder too, we don't judge dads for watching sports all the time on their phones or being on their phones or having they let kids watch TV and that's fine. So I think it's just a reminder as moms to give ourselves a little grace because we should also be allowed to have a little phone time.
Yeah.
And so, with that, as we wrap up, we will kind of leave you with this. Screens don't define your worth as a parent. Your love, your presence, your intention, those do. So, you're doing amazing, even if Miss Rachel or some other show is helping out sometimes. And if you are someone who is feeling guilty for it, give yourself some grace, like we've just said. Send us a message or leave us a comment. We would love to know if this is something you've experienced and like share a no shame screen moment for you just because I think it would be good to help normalize it. We might even share a few in a later episode. So yeah, we're in this together and there is no shame here and we sometimes got to do what we got to do to survive. So Hav, with that, do you have any last minute thoughts?
No, I think we've said it all. Just remember, your family and do what's best for your family. We
Yes.
adjust and we learn.
Yes. And stay tuned. Next week, we're going to be diving into aesthetics. And so that idea of the pressure that comes with comparing your living room to just that Pinterest perfect influencer home because it can be so easy to do. So, with that, we will chat with you then. Bye.
Bye. Say bye.